What's up everyone, it's your girl Shay here and I'm back with another video for you guys. And as many of you guys know, this is my very first episode of doing like a news-like episode about so many things going on in the nerdy community. So not just anime, but also comic books, movies, the like, you know what I'm talking about. So basically, let's get started with talking about all the news that has made the headlines over the past week. I have my phone right here, which has all of the notes that I've taken, as well as a couple of other things. So let's get started with the very first one. And of course, I have to talk about the Marvel Spider-Man Sony deal issue that has started since last week. So as many of you guys know, last week it was announced that Spider-Man would no longer be a part of the MCU, and so many people were very upset about this. And it's not surprising that people are shocked and are upset. It's because Tom Holland has been one of the best Spider-Mans ever. So as many of you guys know, the Sony and Disney deal started back in 2015. where they decided to finally put Spider-Man into the MCU, starting with Captain America Civil War, Avengers 3 and 4, which was Infinity War and Endgame, and of course 2 standalone films being Spider-Man Homecoming and the newest installment, Spider-Man Far From Home, which has made Sony a lot of money. Spider-Man Far From Home at this point has been, or is, Sony's highest grossing film of all time, which took the place, or actually dethroned Skyfall, which was their previous, highest grossing film. So according to reports, though, it seems that Sony and Disney could not come up with a new deal because of the fact that Disney, I guess, wanted more money or wanted more financing. It was originally reported that Disney wanted 50%, but actually in reality the deal was only supposed to be 25%, but Sony apparently never responded, and that was the deal that was on the table months ago. Also, it seems that because Sony and Disney haven't came up with the new deal at this point, that Spider-Man is no longer going to be a part of the MCU, starting with Spider-Man number 3. As many of you guys know, if you've seen Far From Home, it ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, and of course the MCU seems to have set up Spider-Man to take over the role of Tony Stark in leading the Avengers, which I guess according to comic books, though, is actually supposed to be Captain Marvel, but we'll see what happens with that. But apparently there's a new rumor that has came out. So one of the new rumors is apparently that Disney came back to Sony with the deal for there to be an additional 7 films. 2 of them being Avengers movies, and then of course including Spider-Man in with the Fantastic Four, and also including Venom, or introducing Venom into the MCU, which would be a total game changer. But once again, this is truly just a rumor. And it was also heard, as far as today, what I was actually able to find out was that Tom Holland was at a convention recently, and apparently the guests that were at his panel were told not to talk about the Disney and Sony deal, because apparently there are still some negotiations going on or talks going on, and that this panel, or if any questions are asked, could harm these talks. So they were asked not to talk about it. But Tom Holland apparently did kind of talk about it at the panel, where he basically said the same thing that he said at Disney's D23, where he basically said he's very grateful to be able to have played Spider-Man over the course of 5 films for the MCU, but that he is going to be continuing to play the role of Spider-Man with Sony, starting with Spider-Man number 3, but that there's a lot more in store for the character, and while the movie might turn a little differently for the character, he is still very excited to continue playing Spider-Man. Also, Kevin Feige came out at D23 and also said some things regarding Spider-Man leaving the MCU, and basically what he had to say was that Kevin Feige is saying how he knew the arrangement actually wasn't going to last forever, but he is glad that Spider-Man was included in the MCU. But one thing that I actually also found out with the report of fans not being able to ask about Spider-Man and the Sony and Disney deal was that they actually have never actually said Spider-Man is leaving the MCU, so I guess there still might be some ties in with it, although a lot of people are kind of like they shouldn't be able to mention Tony Stark or Iron Man or anything that's ever happened, but in reality they kind of can. I don't think there's going to be any legal issues, but we honestly don't know what's going to happen next regarding Spider-Man in the MCU. Hopefully there's some things that should be announced over the next few days. At least that's what it was according to what people were telling them at the panel at this convention. So we will just have to wait for a couple more days. By the time this video is out, maybe there will be more stuff that's announced. I know for me personally, I kind of hope Spider-Man stays a part of the MCU or at least comes back later on. And only the thing I have to say is, Sony, why is it always the third movie that they always have to mess up on when it comes to the Spider-Man trilogy? As many of you guys know, when we had Sam Raimi's Spider-Man where Tobey Maguire played Spider-Man, Spider-Man 1 and 2 were actually pretty good. Spider-Man 3 went off the rails a little bit and a lot of people didn't enjoy it. And when The Amazing Spider-Man came out, where Andrew Garfield actually played Spider-Man, we only got numbers 1 and 2, and number 3 never actually happened because 1 and 2 a lot of people deemed were really, really bad. So we'll see what happens with that. But now onto more D23 announcements, because of course Spider-Man wasn't the only thing that was talked about this weekend. Also, of course, we had D23 happening at the Los Angeles Convention Center, although I'm probably saying it wrong, but you know what I mean. But basically, they talked about a lot of more Marvel stuff and Disney stuff. I'm going to talk about the Marvel stuff. And pretty much one of the things that was announced or that happened was that the entire Eternals cast was there. And it was also announced that Kit Harington and also Gemma Chan, who many of you guys know, Kit Harington is from Game of Thrones, and Gemma Chan actually played Astrid in the Crazy Rich Asians movie that came out, I believe, last year. But they're actually going to be included in this Eternals cast, playing the roles of Black Knight and also Cersei. So a lot of people are really, really excited about that. And they also did a preview / trailer for the new Black Widow movie that's to come out next year, as well as showing a new Star Wars trailer for the new Star Wars movie that's coming out, The Rise of Skywalker, and it kind of hints that Rey might have turned to the dark side, but we honestly won't know more until probably later on this year, so we'll see what's going to happen with that. Of course, along with those announcements, we also had some new announcements coming to Disney Plus, which many of you guys know Disney Plus is supposed to be launching later on this year in November. And of course, we're talking about all the lineup that's going to happen. I know for a fact they're doing a Lizzie McGuire, not a reboot, but more so Hilary Duff is coming back to reprise her role as Lizzie McGuire, as she's a millennial living in New York and she's a lot older. So we'll see what happens with that. I know a lot of us who watched Lizzie McGuire before are truly excited about that. But also, of course, they also talked about 3 new Marvel Disney Plus shows that are coming out, and that's going to be Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, and also Moon Knight. So I'm actually really excited about Miss Marvel. I've heard a lot about the comic book and I've heard great reviews, so I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this show. And they also said that it is going to tie in with the MCU in general, with the movies, and that I think a lot of people are excited to see if she will be included in the movies later on. So we'll have to see about that. And also, we finally got an announcement regarding Black Panther 2, and we got a date that it is to be released, which is going to be May 6th, 2022. Now, this date was actually hinted at before, but now we actually have confirmation that this is when it's going to come out. And of course, Ryan Coogler is thankfully coming back to direct Black Panther 2. I'm super excited for Black Panther 2. Right at this point, I don't think there's any talks about what the actual plot is going to be, who the villain is going to be, although a lot of people do want Namor to be the villain, I believe, for Black Panther 2. But now that we talked about D23 and Marvel, let's actually talk about some anime. So I recently came across an article that talked about what were the best animes of 2019, and this article was actually done by The Verge. So let me tell you guys what animes actually made it onto their list. So the list of animes that they actually had on their list was, and also at this point it is still an ongoing list, but this is what they currently have on there. They have Mob Psycho 102. They have Sarazanmai. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. They also have Run with the Wind, The Promised Neverland, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, Kaguya-sama, Love is War, My Roommate is a Cat, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind, and actually that's the entire list. So that's all they have right now. For me, I haven't watched too much anime this year for 2019. I think the only one that I can say on this list I've actually seen is The Promised Neverland, and I thoroughly really enjoyed that anime. So for me, that would probably be the best one on this list, but that's only because that's the only one I've actually seen. But I have heard good things about Mob Psycho 102, and I think that's the only one. And JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, I've heard a lot about that show as well, so I'm not surprised that those shows are on this list. I think if I had to add one more onto that list, though, honestly, I'd probably add on Cannon Busters. As many of you guys know, of course, 2019 is not yet over, so we'll see what happens later on during the year and see what other ones make it onto the list. And like they said, this is still an ongoing list, so we'll see if it changes as we head into like October, December, stuff like that. Then the last thing I came across also was another article. This one was done by comicbook.com, and it basically lists where you can watch anime for free. So I know a lot of people want to watch anime, and I know there's a lot of illegal sites that are out there, but of course a lot of us want to support the anime community. So of course there are paid streaming sites that you can use to watch anime on, such as Funimation, Netflix, Hulu, and also Crunchyroll. Now on this list, they do talk about a few of those other sites as well, such as Crunchyroll, Funimation, so on and so forth. But as many of you guys know, on Crunchyroll you actually can watch anime for free. I know for me, I did that for several years before I started actually paying for a membership. And on Crunchyroll, they actually allow you to watch anime for free, but with ads. And you also, at least from what I remember, you can't watch the newest episodes of anime until it's been a week since it's aired. So you just have to be about a week behind everybody else. But honestly, if you don't want to pay for it, I feel like this is the best way to do it. And also they have High Dive, which also has free shows that you're able to watch as well. And then of course Viz Media also has like free anime you can watch on there too. I think for them they have episodes of Bleach, Inuyasha, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. So I suggest checking that out as well. So those are like the three sites that you can actually watch anime on for free. So I don't want to hear any anime fans out there talking about they can't watch anime legally because it's too expensive. Because let's be honest, you have so many other ways to watch anime for free online without trying to watch them on those illegal sites that might give your computer viruses. I mean, who knows? But that is so far, that at this point now is the very first episode I ever did about any news that's came out in the nerd community. So let me know how you enjoyed this. I know I've enjoyed talking about this. I enjoyed looking stuff up, but also let me know how you feel about any of the topics I came up. How do you feel about the Sony and Disney deal? Who do you side with? I know at this point a lot of people are pointing fingers at it's Sony's fault, that is Disney's fault. Also, how did you feel about the announcements that came out at D23? What are you excited for? I know I didn't talk about everything that was announced at D23 because there was so much that was announced and so many things that I'm excited for. I know I'm very excited for Disney Plus. I mean, Disney take my money at this point because I will watch everything on Disney Plus, including Falcon and Winter Soldier, because I'm so excited for that show. And of course, like always with the other anime topics I talked about, what so far for you do you feel like is the best anime of 2019? And also, where do you choose to watch your anime? I know for me, it's definitely Crunchyroll if I want to watch stuff subbed, and Funimation if I want to watch stuff dubbed. So definitely let me know by commenting down below. And of course, like always, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, because most of you guys that watch my videos aren't subscribed, so just subscribe. Just do it. And also, of course, click the bell icon so that you're notified when I come out with new videos on this channel. I usually come out with new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, although I do plan to start doing these news type of shows every Wednesday. But I do record these on Mondays, but they're going to be out on Wednesdays. So definitely be sure to check those out, of course. And like I always tell you guys, stay positive and be nerdy. All right, you guys. Bye.